here. I saw 10 people waiting and I thought, wow, I just need to get in there. And there's no sense in making you wait, you know what I mean? So it looks like I missed some of the earlier ones. They fell back in the chat, but I see that Christine, Charlie, Frank the Tank, Roger's Aquarium, that one Plant Guy, Hair Wade, Moon Over Miami are all in the house. And there may be some other people, I just can't scroll back far enough to see whoever's here. So sorry about that, but I'm just excited that everybody's here. Looks like hopefully some more people are going to be coming in. And, oh, we lost some people. That's weird. I wonder what happened there. That is weird. But now some more people are coming in. So Gaetan is here. Welcome. Zero Cool. Zachary. Excellent. Couchland. Caprimulgus. Hello from France. Awesome. Dark Reptiles. Excellent. Yeah, I just thought I'd start early. And I'm here with my friend Twilly, the budgie, also known as the parakeet. And I thought we would just, hit it early today. Can be more fun that way for everybody because those of you who can't normally make the live stream, maybe you have a chance now. So Zero Cool. Okay, I'll look forward to that email. Brian Orr, hello, welcome back. And Jamie, yes, I was hoping that those of you in the UK and other places in the world where my live streams are normally difficult to catch, and now you'd be able to do that. So Christine is here from Long Island, New York. Excellent. Chad is back. Arthropod Ambassadors. Excellent. So Arthropod Ambassadors, do you mind if I drop a little teaser or not? I'm not going to elaborate, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's usually not this sleepy at this time of day, but he is pretty content. He's a fun little guy. iBugman. Dark Reptiles in Sweden. Excellent. Oh, Sandy, welcome. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that yours passed. How long did you have them? They usually live a pretty good long time, which is a good thing, but that does happen. I had one that I got when I was 13 years old, and it passed away when I was in my mid-20s, I want to say, or early to mid-20s. Had it for quite a while. Beautiful bird, a lot of fun. And let's see. Oh, cool. Frank the Tank has got a little leopard gecko. Okay, with him right now. So Arthropod Ambassadors is going to be a guest on our live stream next month in February. And so keep your calendars open for that. It will probably be our normal time, which is 5:30 p.m. my time on a Tuesday. And I believe we schedule it the second week in February, but I will keep you updated on that. I'll be posting the live stream a couple days in advance so that everyone can have a chance to sign up for a notification and everything. You'll want to catch that. Arthropod Ambassadors does a lot of cool stuff with various arthropods, of course. It's pretty clear from the name. And if you don't already know Arthropod Ambassadors, you should. So you'll get a chance to check that out on our live stream next month. And Moon Over Miami. Oh, you saw me on Richard's podcast. Yes, that was fun doing that with Richard. We talked a lot about isopods and about the bioactive enclosures and stuff. Richard's great, and it was fun to talk to him. So I'm glad you saw that, and I'm looking forward to talking to Arthropod Ambassadors soon. Dark Reptiles, glad to hear your snails are doing well. Oh, Tarantula B, congratulations on the Porcellia expensis babies. About 10 babies, nice, nice. They'll probably have a lot more soon. Excellent. Oh, that one plant guy, yes. If your powder oranges are mating, you should have some monkai soon. Generally, they don't produce a lot at one time, meaning an individual female doesn't produce a huge number, but once you got them going, there's going to be a lot. For example, same species, Oreo crumbles, that I have had since the beginning of October, are exploding for me now. I'm not sure how many I have, but I would expect probably 100 or so right now. Just started out with around 20, and I probably have more than that, but I actually did something kind of fun. I separated some young Oreo crumbles and some young powder oranges, put them together. They are the same species, just different morphs, and I'm hoping to get some orange crumbles soon. Wow, Sandy, okay, you had a 16 and a 14-year-old, a lovebird and a cockatiel. Awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty nice age. That's one thing I do like about a lot of birds is that you get a pretty decent lifespan, so that's great. So Dark Reptiles, send me a message on Instagram. I'm pretty open to collaboration with people with the same interests. So let's talk. Instagram's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, and we can set something up. We might have to figure out the time difference, but we can do that, I'm sure. And Tanner. Ah, yes. You saw me at the Reptile Expo. Was it the one in this last one, October? Cool. I remember, I think I remember talking to you at the Reptile Expo. Now, but I might be getting your face confused with someone. So let me know. Was it over by Nocturnal Exotics table, or was I at your table? Or remind me what was going on. But yes, Tarantula Libby, that's true. They'll really go crazy. And Arthropod Ambassadors hope to be more confident. The Exotic Pet Collective was my first live and can't wait to chat biotopics. Oh yes, I really enjoyed your podcast with Richard on the Exotic Pet Collective, and I'm hoping, and that kind of gave me the idea. I hope should be interested in talking to me too, and so I was happy when I did contact you that you were. So looking forward to that. And I felt like you sounded great. I didn't feel like you had any confidence issues that I noticed, so hopefully that helps. Oh, Ken, that ought to just increase your sales, I would think. I mean, who doesn't love isopods and gecko stuffages, especially in a jewelry store? So, Zachary, where you could buy some beetles. Where are you in general in the world? Are you in the US? Are you in a different country? That can help narrow things down about what types of beetles you can get and where you might be able to get them. Ken, you got free powder blues in the organic soil from Home Depot. That's awesome. And the one plant guy got your powders about a month ago and now getting Peacekeeper Dalmatian. Any tips? Well, those are really easy isopods too. Most of the Peacekebers are not as prolific as, say, powder oranges or any Porcelia laevis morph, really, but they are very pretty easy to take care of. The only thing that, I mean, they're not picky with ventilation, they're not picky with moisture, really. You still want to provide a gradient for moisture and humidity, you know, and a little ventilation won't hurt, but, you know, they're going to get some if you just put them in a 6-quart tub with a lid. There's ventilation, it's not airtight, and that's usually enough, but you could put a few ventilation holes if you want to. They do like some protein, but they're not as crazy about it as, say, Porcelia laevis, but they'll go after it for sure. The only thing with Dalmatian is that if you want to maintain Dalmatians with really nice pattern, you're either going to have to play with some genetics by introducing new bloodlines in periodically, or maybe you can just separate the nice pattern ones from the low pattern ones, and then you'll have like an almost white culture of Dalmatians, and then you'll have a more highly patterned one, something like that. That's the main thing with those. Cody, welcome. Newt, welcome. I have an avian dinosaur here on my shoulder. This is Twilly, for those of you who haven't met him yet. He's a talker. He's not saying a whole lot today, but he does speak quite a bit of English, so a dinosaur that can speak English words is something maybe you didn't realize you'd ever see, but here's one right here. Oh, beetle legality. Okay. Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's fun. I'm glad that we had a chance to talk, and I hope we get to have more expos soon, Tanner. And I hope that they are not so plagued by the difficulties that this expo was when everybody was in masks and everything. It was a little tough. And the numbers were down, of course, which is good because we don't want the numbers being too high in a COVID situation, but it did decrease the amount of people that were there. But I'm glad we had a chance to talk. Okay, Zachary, beetles. Well, if you're in Southern California, you might be able to go out and catch some darkling beetles right now, right today. It's possible. I have seen beetles of various sorts in Southern California, I guess. Well, I've done a lot of beetle. I've seen some in Southern California, but things like the blue death feigning beetle you can collect. They're probably not in this month. They do tend to go dormant during the middle of the winter. You probably even in California, they do here. Because you can have blue death feigning beetles in my state, but they're not active right now, and they won't be active until maybe May-ish or so. So I'm not sure we're in your situation, but I'm sure there's a lot of darkling beetles. I know there are a lot of darkling beetles you can collect there if you're interested in darkling beetles. Do you have any specific type of beetle you are interested in? And Ike, what dark frog would be emitted by a 12 by 12 by 18 exoterra? Probably thumbnails, thumbnail dart frogs. If you just wanted to do one dart frog, you could do some of the others like a Dendrobates leucomelis, just one in there. But if you wanted to breed, you could definitely do a pair of thumbnails in an enclosure that size. And Sandy, what is the lifespan for a peacekeeper? It depends, but probably on average between 18 months to 2 years, and some will probably live a little longer and some a little shorter. A thing that seems to be true for a lot of isopods, and there are certain exceptions. I mean, there are isopods that can live years and years. I think it's Armadillidium officinalis, is that the one? I might have that name wrong, it might be a different species, but that one can live like 9 years. And most of the ones we keep in the hobby don't live that long, of course, but some can live 2 to 3. And even within a population, you might have some that will become mature and die shortly thereafter, and others that will live several years. That's not an unusual thing among isopods. But probably somewhere 18 months to 2 years is fairly normal to expect for peacekeeper. Yeah, he's pretty reactive to things in that he doesn't freak out, but he loves it when we clap and sing. Like if we will all clap and sing, he will follow along and chirp with the claps. It's kind of fun. You do that, don't you? Are you going to talk to anybody? Usually when I talk, he hears me talking, he'll start talking, he'll talk up a storm. But he's not into it right now. So, oh, arthropod ambassadors. Fair point. Things like Land Before Time and so on. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and like arthropod ambassadors say in answer to the question about the, Zachary's questions about the beetles, Lammas ground beetle could be one, and death feignings have been burrowing. Okay, makes sense. You know, Ben S., I'll tell you what, tips for magic potions. I still need to crack the code on magic potions. I have a culture I got in October, I believe. I want to say it was October, yeah. I think it was a little bit after the expo. So yeah, it would have been October. And as far as I know, mine haven't bred yet either. And in the past when I had them, I only had 6. And they all grew up and did not breed for me. And so eventually I got some more. So hopefully, I don't think they're particularly difficult necessarily, but other people have had this issue. I think there's kind of a waiting game going on, and other people have had no problems with them. So I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully we can figure it out. 50 animals you've had, and it sounds like you've had some success, so that's good. But Armadillidium vulgare, the species in general, this varies from morph to morph, but magic potion doesn't seem to be the most frequently reproducing type. Some of them are more common than others. Some will only produce once or twice a year, just a lot of them at a time. Okay. So the reproduction is not to wait 9 years, but they will live 9 years, some of them. So, dark reptiles. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. And cool. Yes, let's message each other about it. I would like to do a collaboration, so that would be fun. Let's see. And Ike, for real, it's smart to get the fruit fly culture going. In fact, honestly, I would recommend making sure you're comfortable culturing the fruit flies, maybe to go to 2 or 3 cycles of the fruit flies culturing. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend it just so that you feel like, oh, okay, I've kind of got a handle on this fruit fly culture business, and then get the dart frog. So, and I would say minimum of 2 cultures at a time. If you want to go higher, it's not a bad idea. The only difficulty with that is that you're going to have far more flies than you need for one dart frog. So it kind of depends on what else you have. For me, it's not usually a problem because I have 3 enclosures of mourning geckos in addition to my 3 frogs. And then the flies, I can feed them to other things. I do feed them to other things. I've got spiders they'll eat. I've got chickens. I can give the fruit flies to my chickens. They love fruit flies. So you can even put them in the freezer and then feed them to other things. Who was telling me that? I think it was it Brian Davidson? He, one of our subscribers, and he was freezing them and then feeding them to his hermit crabs. So you might have to get creative with that. But I would say you could probably do something like that if you have other pets. If you don't, you're going to have to do something with those flies, and it may just be freezing the excess flies, because if you just leave them in the culture, they will overrun the culture and die. So keep that in mind, and hopefully that helps. Let's see, where are we? Barbara Spraggins. Someone in a group on Facebook stated you have to have a permit to ship isopods in the US. Is that true? Well, currently APHIS, and hopefully I can get this right, it's the American Plant Health Inspection Station, does require a permit to ship isopods across state lines. It's not that difficult to get. I do have a permit, can currently ship isopods to 48 states. Hawaii does not grant permits, and Florida's permit process is a little bit more difficult and involved, so I have applied for Florida, but I have not yet been granted the permit for Florida. So yes, that body does exist. Now, are there people who ship isopods across state lines without getting in trouble? Yes, it seems that that is true. But I have a permit. I'm gonna play it safe. Okay. J-Man, welcome. So, Jamie's, your magic potions seem more interested in burying themselves and rolling to a ball than breeding. Yeah, they do seem, it's interesting because some people I've talked to say they seem really secretive and other people say they're not so secretive. And I wonder if there are different things going on with different groups. Some people say they're very, a lot more active. You, on the other hand, have been very sleepy today. Usually he's far more active than this. Interesting. 1/3 the size of your powder. So these isopods you found under your chicken's water bowl, 2 lines of yellow spots along the back like an armadillidium. They might be Armadillidium vulgare, just young ones. That's not uncommon with the young ones. And Cody, nice. That's a nice find, to get a tarantula sling like that for free. That's pretty cool. And arthropod ambassadors, that's a great point, that you can feed them to the isopods and mealworms. I was thinking the other day of trying to give the frozen fruit flies to my blue death feigning beetles, since they eat a lot of dead, dried insects in the wild. So that's a great way to do it. Hey, Sandy, that's an excellent idea. Just, yeah, you could like throw some wheat grains in there and they would eat that up. I've done that with squash. You know, squash seeds, usually not on purpose. I just throw a piece of squash in there with some seeds, and the seeds sprout, and then after a few days the isopods eat the sprouts, because the sprouts start to die without the light, and then they eat them. So that works. So Porcellio spinacornis, Brian. Carrot was the favorite, huh? Interesting. That one plant guy. We have a generous rooster. That's nice. So Barbara, you have to go to, it's the USDA.gov, and they have an e-permit system, and it's it's not exactly difficult once you know how to do it, but it's kind of a process because you have to apply for a permit. Originally, I applied for a permit to keep them, or have them, to receive them, I should say. And then I applied for a permit to ship them, a separate permit, a different one. And basically the permit process is you go to this e-permits, you go to USDA and you look up the e-permits, and then you have to register, get an account, and then it's kind of a learning curve. You apply first for the permit, and then including the species you want to keep, and you can do it by genus level on isopods too, and they'll kind of work with you a little bit. But You apply, and then you have to send the application to the first state, and then they will review it, and they'll send you like a condition review, and you look at the conditions. You have to click agree, 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 agree about, I don't know, it's probably about 10 different things you have to click agree on, and then send it back to them, and then after a while they will send you a permit. And sometimes it's really fast, the process is really fast. Like right now, I'm applying for permits to send springtails across state lines, 2 different species of springtails, and I think I have the permits back for 7 of them already, and I only started this in December. It was like early to mid-December when I started, and I have permits back for 7 states. So, you know, it's not too bad. The only thing is you have to apply individually for each state that you're going to send it to. Don't bother trying to apply for Hawaii. And then when you, I lost my train of thought on that, but anyway, that's basically how it works. And it varies widely on how busy they are and all kinds of things, how many they get through and so on, how long it takes. But, oh, that was the thing I was going to say. You can copy your first permit. So say you send off the first one to Alabama. I usually do it in alphabetical order. It's just easier. And then you can copy that permit immediately, even before it gets, you copy the permit application, I should say. Copy it before it even gets approved, and then go in and change the state. And you have to change the state in 2 different places, not just one. There are 2 different places where you have to change the state in the application, and then you submit that one. And so sometimes when I'm applying, I'll sit down and batch apply just by copying one that I recently sent, and then going in and changing the state information and resubmitting, and I continue to do that. So hopefully that helps. And Ike, congratulations. Yep, even the backyard isopods can be great. That's where I got my Silisticus convexus. Just collected them out in my backyard right here. So, Oliko, how's the tailless whip scorpion? She is doing well. She's doing well, and she's actually going to be in a video not too long, a collaboration video. So keep an eye open for that. And yes, Ike, that is true. They are like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. So that one plant guy, would isopods like tomatoes, cabbage, or kale? They probably would, like all of those, to some degree. I haven't fed them a lot of those particular items, but I imagine they'd probably go for it if they were hungry. Well, Cody, you're kind of lucky as far as tarantula goes compared to me, because my wife says no tarantulas at all. And I'm okay with that, but it would be kind of cool, but I have to balance things out. Oh, nice. We got some folks in Alabama. So legally, right now, I could send you springtails, at least one species, because I applied for the species on different permits, and which you don't always have to do, but it was kind of a weird thing that happened. So technically, I could. Right now, as a practical matter, I wouldn't send you springtails because, first of all, I don't know if you want any, and second of all, the deal is that it's too cold right now to send springtails anywhere. So I'm waiting until February before I'm doing a lot of shipping. So so that one plant guy, I can ship to Texas. Right now I have permits to ship quite a number of isopods to Texas. I do not currently have permits to ship springtails to Texas, but I probably will soon. So yeah, maybe even by February when I'm going to start shipping again. So keep that in mind. Brian Orr, have you ever raised pseudoscorpions? I've only seen a couple of them in my life. I think they're fascinating, and I wouldn't mind raising them. I mean, you don't need a lot of space. Generally, they'll eat things like springtails, so it'd probably be fairly easy to do. I've even heard of people keeping them in springtail cultures, and because the springtails breed so quickly that the pseudoscorpions are just fine like that. So I think that would be really cool, but I've only seen a couple in my life. I know there are some places from which you can purchase them, but they're often quite expensive, so I haven't done so. But if I had a chance to keep them, I'm sure I would. They need a very tiny enclosure, so that would be cool. Peppers and glowworms. Oh, you're lucky. Had some show up with your isopods. And Ike, have you heard of Dark Den's advice on dwarf tarantulas? I can't say that I have. I haven't, because I can't keep them, I haven't looked a lot into their husbandry and so on. I mean, there are some channels like Richard's channel, the Exotic Pet Collective and the Tarantula Collective I like to watch. And I have seen some things from that, but I don't have any specific information about dwarf tarantulas that I remember from Dark Den specifically. Oh, a loophole about keeping tarantulas. Ah. When it comes to springtails, you can get them locally from people for pretty cheap or even free. That's true. Sometimes you can. If you can find a dart frog keeper, you're very likely to be able to get some springtails. And Jamie, well, I think it has to do with the fact that there are places in the US where subtropical and tropical organisms have actually ended up being, they've started invasive populations of things. Like in Florida, when I was there visiting a few years ago, I guess it was about 5 years ago, there were all kinds of species there that, don't really belong there. There were feral iguana populations running around. I thought it was fascinating to see them, but I was also recognizant of the fact that they don't really belong there and were probably causing some issues. And that's true of many other species in Florida, and Florida is not the only place where that has happened, of course, or the only species that have happened in Florida. There are all kinds of invasive reptiles and other creatures in various parts of the US, and I think that's why. Sometimes they're probably being overcautious, but in many cases it's better to be overcautious than sorry, I guess. Do I name my favorite isopods? I don't, just because typically in a container where I have my favorite isopod species, there are, hundreds of them in there. And so it's hard to tell them apart. But if I could tell them apart, I might well do that. I see what you mean. Okay. Well, my wife lets me keep jumping spiders, and she may eventually allow me to do a trapdoor spider. I don't know. But that's probably as far as I'm going to get. All right, Cody, well, thank you for joining in. And yeah, Frank the Tank, I've heard about the spotted lanternflies causing problems. And dark reptiles. I think giant snails are pretty cool. I enjoyed them, dark reptiles, in Hawaii when I lived there. Speaking of invasive species, the Achatina fulica is, I believe, the species that lives there now, and it's not native, and they were all over and they were really cool. Not that it was necessarily cool that they were in Hawaii because they were causing problems with the ecosystem, but they were cool snails. I'm interested in them, but they're illegal in the US to keep any of the Achatina species. As far as I know, every state in the US they're illegal. So you might not get as many people who are interested in care videos, but they might be interested in seeing what they look like. Ah, excellent, Sandy, glad to hear it. Yeah, a nice wood-based or leaf-based compost is good stuff. Hopefully that can work for you. So that one plant guy, you may actually be able to catch your own springtails too. That's a possibility, but if you can wait a couple of months, you'll probably be able to get some. If there are any dart frog breeders anywhere near you, though, you're almost certainly guaranteed to be able to get some. So Marcine, is that how you say it? And you're welcome. Glad to hear that my videos on YouTube are helping you out. Bug Slayer, can you do a best pet invertebrate on ground or warrior beetles? If I get some, sure, I would be happy to. I think that would be really cool. I haven't got any right now, but I've been interested in getting some. They're very cool. Let's see, Killcast. In central Alabama, other than vulgare and nasatum. Well, I wouldn't be too surprised if you had Porcellio scaber, possibly Laevis, probably Laevis, and Silisticus convexus, Trichelopus rathke are some species you might have in that area. I mean, I don't know Central Alabama very well, but those are some that are fairly likely that you could find, maybe even Silisticus convexus if I didn't say that. So dark reptiles, you have Achatina fullica. That's awesome. And Catherine, welcome. Glad you're able to join again. Had it pretty early. So there are really some the size of a jumping spider? That's crazy. Some tarantulas, I mean. Yeah, Frank the Tank, it does seem to happen that way, doesn't it? Ah, that does sound like a cool tarantula. The C. elegans. No bigger than a jumper. Wow. I still don't think she'd go for it, but it sounds cool. I'm intrigued. So Brian Orr, lots of rules for Canada inverts based on U.S. issues. Yeah, that's the thing. I think in where I live, at least, in my part of the state, a lot of these things would never establish themselves in the wild too. It just gets too cold in the winter. It gets well below freezing in the winter, and it gets to freezing and stays at freezing and below freezing for long periods of time. So there's a lot of these things that would never live in this part of the state. Maybe in the southwest corner where there are palm trees, but not here. But, you know, I guess it's the whole, they're trying to be safe rather than sorry, and I can understand that, but it can be frustrating sometimes. So that one plant guy, have you ever kept aquatic isopods? The first isopods I ever kept were, in fact, aquatic. And I'm not certain of the species. I sort of assumed at the time they were Acellus aquaticus, and they may well have been, but they might be something else. I collected them in a ditch near my house when I was about 13 years old, 12, 13. I think I was actually 12 when I collected them. And I put them in an aquarium that I had just purchased, and I was, you know, cycling it. I hadn't put anything in it yet, and no fish or anything in it yet. And I figured, I could put these in. I found some snails. I found the isopods, and I said, I can put these in because they're not going to, you know, there's not a lot of bioload there. And so I figured I'd put those in and cycle them, and I did. And they were breeding. The snails were breeding. The isopods were breeding. It was pretty cool. And then I think what I did, you know, bear in mind I was a kid. Didn't quite get how this would work, I guess. And I put some newts in the aquarium, and then I didn't have any isopods anymore. But those were my first. And I have also kept marine isopods, because I kept marine aquaria for a number of years, probably 5 or 6 years, something like that. And starting when I lived in Hawaii, which was pretty cool. And basically, when you put live rock in an aquarium, it's going to have isopods on it, and they're going to breed in your saltwater aquarium. So I had marine isopods, not the huge deep sea isopods that you see on YouTube, you know, that are the size of a loaf of bread, not anything like that. But they were small, but they were marine isopods and pretty cool. Salvo, welcome. Good to see you here. And Leala says, bought some panda kings and penguins. Awesome. Meaning the Cubaris isopods in both cases. That is so cool. Congratulations on the babies. Excellent. Maybe I better not read that comment out loud, Brian. Just, you know, be safe. I really like the panda kings, and I'm going to try to apply for a permit for Cubaris isopods so I can get some shipped to me. That would be so cool. So, Salvo. This budgie Twilly here is just over 5 years old. He's about 5 years and 1 month, because we picked him up on the day after Christmas for my daughter, you know, approximately 5 years ago. And then he was about a month old when we got him. So that's about where he is. So still got a lot of life left in him. So peppers and glowworms, how about an update on your Halocaridina rubra? Nice, that's a good idea. I currently have 4 aquaria with the Halocaridina rubra in them. Those are my Opaiula shrimp from Hawaii. Been keeping those since I lived in Hawaii, since around 2004, I think, when I got them. And they're doing well. I have hundreds of them. I've got one 10-gallon tank, one 5.5-gallon tank, one about 3-gallon tank, and one 2-gallon tank. and they are all super easy to care for and doing well. They breed periodically. They don't breed as fast as like cherry shrimp or anything, but they do breed, and yeah, they're doing really well. I've been feeding them more spirulina, and that is reddening them up quite a bit. They're always somewhat red, but when I give them more spirulina, they're more red, so maybe I need to do another video on them, huh? Huh. I never knew people would get peacock jumping spiders in the hobby. I believe they're native to Australia, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're tiny. Huh, that would be interesting. And dark reptiles. Okay, you have Achatina reticulata. Well, that whole genus is cool, so the species, you know, it's a big snail either way. That's cool. That one plant guy in this planted 10-gallon with a couple of guppies and shrimp and pond snails, you could probably get, the amphipods almost certainly would breed in small numbers in there. The guppies would help keep them under control, keep them from going crazy and eating all your plants, because if you didn't have guppies in there, you probably would, to be honest. You might be able to get the isopods to do the same thing. It's possible. And Jenny Lynn, do I have a favorite isopod? I have so many favorite isopods. That's my problem. I try to pick a favorite. People ask me, and I'll say, oh, that's one of my favorites, and it is. And then they'll show me another, oh, that's also one of my favorites. And I have so many favorites. When I look at a genus, there are lots that I can point out a few from the genus that I really like. For example, with Armadillidium, I really love Armadillidium maculatum, the zebras. I love Armadillidium gestroi. Those are two that are among my favorites, but you know, I could keep going, so I probably should stop. But in Porcellio, I really love Laevis, but I really love Expansus too. I really love Ornatus, especially Ornatus high yellow and Ornatus nord. I love Porcellio haza, even though I don't have it. The Marulanellas are fantastic. I don't have any, but I look at them and love them. So, giant African isopods that live on beaches. I haven't seen those. I know we have some really big species that live in the U.S. The Ligia species. There's one, I think it's Ligia pallasii, that lives up in the northeast. Probably not so much a candidate for pets because they need to have, you know, cool saltwater environments, but they're big. And then I've seen Ligia exotica in Florida, and with their Europods, they're a big isopod, and they're actually, you can keep and breed those. I just haven't. And yeah, Cubaris marina, I don't have that one, but if I can get a permit for Cubaris, I probably will. I was talking to Laura at Smugbug, and she is the one who actually breeds. She isolated the Cubaris marina papaya, and she offered to send me some of those, but I don't have a permit yet, so I need to get one for Cubaris. And I do have red tigers that I got locally, so I didn't need a permit because they were in the same state. They weren't crossing state lines. And they're probably pretty similar to the red edges that Theropod Hunter is mentioning. And they're pretty easy. I have them, they started breeding for me really fast, within a month or two after getting them, I think. And so they're doing well. And I have the rubber duckies. I started keeping rubber duckies before I even knew about permits. So there's that. So Sandy, you got a morning gecko question. Sure, I'd be happy to answer that. So dark reptiles, did I miss a question? I didn't mean to. Let's see. How are the garters doing? They're in brumation right now, Brian, and hopefully doing well. I checked on them a couple of days ago and they were doing fine at that time, so hopefully they're still doing well. I have them in a brumation chamber in the garage that I put together with a low temperature range thermostat and heat pad, so that the temperature right now is set at 54 degrees. I had it, or 53? Somewhere around there, right around there. I had it at 55 for a little while just to make sure I could maintain a temperature warm enough for them. And then just today I turned it down a couple of degrees, and I probably just leave it there. So there we go. Hopefully that helps. But I'm excited to get baby garters, very likely in the spring, because my female, the male and the two males and the female, they've been mating a lot before I put them into brumation. Of course, they were starting to slow down, and they were doing that. So hopefully we'll get some babies in the spring. My least favorite isopod, peppers and glowworms. My least favorite isopod to deal with is dwarf whites. Not because they're not super useful and they're not actually cool in their own way, just because as a requirement of the way I sent my permit, I have to send them on damp paper towels. With most isopods, that's not a big deal because they're easy enough to scoop out individually and put on the damp paper towels. With dwarf whites, that's quite a bit more challenging to do, and so having to scoop them out individually, and I send them and sell them in lots of about 25, so they are a pain to deal with. But other than that, yeah, they're very cool. But that's how that works. And Marcine, yes, I love Armadillidium gestroi because they do move around a lot. They get big, a lot bigger than many of the other Armadillidium genus, and they're just so amazingly colored. I love those. Hello, Crystals, Pets, and Plants. And that makes sense, Catherine. I think when you have an individual you can recognize, it's easy to, have a favorite individual like that. Michael, hello. And that one plant guy, nice. Yep, it is fun to watch that whole process. I like it. And oh, Polar Tree, you got Punta Cana babies, excellent. Oh, did I miss your message, Dark Reptiles? Let's see. Oh, okay, today. And that one plant guy, are you allowed to send dwarf whites to Texas? Yes, I am. Both of those species I can ship, no problem, to Texas. So both the dwarf whites and the Peacecaber lottery mix, no problem. Texas, I can do it. We just have to wait till February for the weather to calm down a little bit, and then I can do that. And Elaine, Happy New Year to you as well. And thank you, Crystal. Twilly is very chill today. I'm not sure why he's so chill. Why are you so chill? Do you mind if I pick you up? Are you going to be okay if I do that? You can come say hi to everybody? What do you think? Can you come say hi? Do you want to say hi? Check it out. Are we still in business, everybody? Is it working? Is the stream frank? Did we lose the stream again, or are we okay? And thank you. Yes, Theropod Hunter, I did have a good Christmas. It was relaxing. Enjoyed it at home. We did go on a little bit of a walk outside, but we didn't do any major traveling, and we had a nice fun time. So thank you. I hope you did as well. Hope you all did. See, they think you're adorable, so you don't have to be shy. You can go ahead and talk. My favorite thing that he says in English is, "Excuse me." And I can't do it exactly because he does it in his high little budgie voice, but he says, "Excuse me." It's really fun. And Brian, yeah, and I think you're right. And I forgot to kind of follow up on this, that their heat pad is set in the low 50s somewhere, but their actual bin that they're in right over the heat pad is a little cooler. So they're probably, when I use my temp gun inside the bin, they are in the 40s. Most of the bin, at least. There are parts of the bin where it's in the low 50s, but most of the bin is in the 40s. So, oh, you're getting some your Peacecaber Dalmatians soon. Yeah, that's right. Cool. And thank you, Barbara, for joining in. Making sure we're doing okay time-wise. Yep, I've got a few more minutes. Blue Basin Aquatics, welcome. So Frank, I have a question about your mother's parrot. Was it right about who was at the door? Because that would be pretty impressive. My dad had a budgie like this when he was a kid, and there was someone who used to visit them a lot, and it would say that he was coming and sometimes he actually was, which is kind of fun. And you do say a lot of things. He says his name, he says various things, but my favorite thing that he says is, "Excuse me. Excuse me." I've been trying to teach him to say, "What you doing?" And he said it like once or twice, but he doesn't say it very often. But "excuse me," he says it a lot. Huh, that is cool. The parrot would actually know about it. It's amazing. They're very perceptive creatures, even the little ones like this. But you are so sleepy, aren't you? So sleepy. Why are you so sleepy today? I don't know if you can hear the little noises he's making. But yeah, this is not his normal personality. It's quite surprising that he's so chill right now. It's not that he's not happy to be with people, it's just that he's usually not as sedate. He's usually a little more active about it, even insistent about it. Oh, theropod hunter. Before your horse-field tortoises, plenty of quails. I think quails are cool. Oh, yes. Yes. Sometimes he makes noises that sound like R2-D2. That's true. And Frank the Tank, I think I actually heard about that parrot giving testimony in a murder case. It was kind of interesting. Oh, that would be something, Blue Basin Aquatics. You just see parrots flying by all the time. Yeah, when my son lived in Mexico, he saw some there. But there are some feral ones. I did see a few of those. But I've never lived any place tropical other than Hawaii, and so... in fact, I don't think I've really been anywhere tropical other than Hawaii. That's truly tropical. I've been to Florida, so subtropical. In Texas, there are places that are kind of subtropical there too, that I've been to, but I think it would be something to see parrots in the wild. Oh, I think, is the chat frozen? It's acting weird on my end. I can't see the chat at all. Somebody give me another chat so I can see if it comes up. I'm going to try switching the chat around and see if that helps. Huh. Well, it seems to be dead. That is weird. Is anybody there? Okay. Well, the chat seems to have died on me. So I'd like to thank you all for joining in. And now Twilly at least is doing something. He's grooming himself, so you can see he's not just a completely frozen budgie statue. That's kind of nice. But since the chat is kind of dead right now, at least on my end, unless the chat pops back up in a second, I think I'll go. But I'm really excited to have had the chance to talk to you at a different time, so that you get we get people who can join the chat who don't normally get a chance to. But I probably better go because I can't see the chat, and that's kind of weird. Oh wait, no, it's back. It's back. The chat is back. Excellent. I don't know why it was gone for so long, but it is back. So, very cool. I'm catching up now a little bit on the chat here. Killcast, have you read the Isopod zoology book? Yes! I got it for my birthday, actually from J-Man. He was kind enough to have that sent my way. And I probably read it 3 times. I love that book. It's great. It's a fantastic book. So Sandy, okay, about your morning gecko hatchlings. Kept them humid, their feet are clubby. I don't know if it's a deformity or a stuck shed. They can jump bit, but not climb. They can't stick. Huh. So Sandy, here's a question to ask relating to that. What temperature did the eggs incubate at? Because I've heard of that happening when the eggs are incubated too warm. So that's what I'm wondering about, if that could be an issue. Because anything over 80 is probably pushing it a little bit for morning gecko incubation. And if they were in a position where they incubated in a situation like that, could be that. Okay, so that one plant guy has tried to establish spring-tailed colony. It hasn't worked. Catherine, that's awesome. A budgie that said nice cup of tea. I love it. So Marcina, I don't have Armadillidium fronte triangulum. Not on my permit, unfortunately, but they're very cool looking. Kind of like a, for those of you who are not familiar with the species, They're a little bit like clown isopods, but they've got their own thing going on. Very cool looking. Okay, so yes, thank you to those of you who were testing out the chat. I'm not sure why it died for a minute, but it's back. Cullen's in the house as well. You know, that one plant guy, when I was in Florida, I was really excited to see if I could collect, this was back in like 2015 or so. I was excited to go collect isopods. And the only isopod I saw there, well, I saw two species. I saw the Ligia exotica, which I couldn't really collect. And I also saw one Trichorina tomentosa, and that was it. Those were the only isopods I saw. I was really hoping to see some Cubaris marina when I was there. So, well, I'm glad it's working again. That was weird. Novske, welcome. Good to see you in the chat. It's been a little while since I've seen you in a live stream, and I'm happy to see you here. So, Frank de Tank, the biggest Armadillidium species? Well, Armadillidium granulatum's big. I think Armadillidium officinalis, is that one of the big ones? Armadillidium gestori is actually pretty big. Armadillidium nosatum can get big, but usually doesn't. Pill millipedes, Cullen, I do not have any. I know the large pill millipedes are not really a good idea to have imported because they don't survive well. And I do believe they're illegal now in the US anyway to get imported. So, I haven't seen any though. I mean, I haven't kept any pill millipedes. I would like to get some of the glomeris if I can at some point. Angelo, hello, welcome. Crystal, my rubber duckies are doing pretty well. I checked and they had another clutch of babies recently, so they're doing well. And Sandy, room temp, warm room, but not 80. Okay. Then it probably isn't a temperature thing. Trying to think if there could be any other thing that could cause that issue. And keeping them humid, do you feel like you're keeping them too humid, or? I mean, I usually keep mine on the drier side and haven't had that issue. That is kind of a puzzle to me, to be honest, Sandy. Okay, Felipe, I'm wondering if you know if the color of Armadillidium Santa Lucia is different between males and females. Not sure, haven't kept that type. They're kind of similar to Punta Canas, but I haven't kept that type. Secret history living in your aquarium, hello. And Elaine, glad you like the background. It is kind of Everglade-esque, isn't it? Kind of fun. And I think some of these draping epiphytic plants look a little like the Spanish moss. It's true. And okay, 72 to 75 is actually perfect for a morning gecko, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, and Frank de Tank, that's right. Most of the larger pill millipedes don't do well in captivity. They seem to die off after, not too long, a few months. The glomeris species, some of them are successfully bred in captivity, but those are quite a bit different from the larger pill millipedes you see. The glomeris are quite small, comparable in size to Armadillidium isopods. And Novske, I see, yeah, if it's 2 a.m. for you, I can understand why you don't normally catch the live stream. So that's part of the reason I did the live stream at this time, because I know there's people who can't catch the live stream that I usually do, so I wanted to do this for those of you that might not otherwise catch it, so I'm glad it's working out. Hiding from Bigfoot. Actually, I just had a picnic with Bigfoot, just so you know. And J-Man, wow, thank you so much. That is awesome. Looking forward to what is in store for next year. Me too. Me too. Have some interesting plans in the works, and I hope they work out well. That is a really great super chat, J-Man. I appreciate all your support. You've done a lot for this channel, and you continue to do so, and I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. So that one plant guy. Instead of a planted microterrarium, make it bioactive with pods and springtails and other inverts. What pods would be best to do that without? A powders, peacekeeper, Dalmatians, or dwarf whites? Depending on the size, if it's really small and it's going to be very almost sealed off and not opened a whole lot, I would say dwarf whites probably. Not the powders. I would say my order of preference of those three would be dwarf whites first, then maybe the Dalmatians, but you need to make sure they get some ventilation. I mean, all of them need oxygen, of course, but I think the dwarf whites would be the best candidates for more enclosed enclosure. And then maybe the Dalmatians, definitely not the powders. They don't usually do well with really super low ventilation. And Cullen, yeah, I've seen that species for sale at one of the isopod sites, I think, the Rhopalomeris strawberry, and they're a smaller species, but I don't know, I have never kept it. Okay, so reduce humidity. Yeah, and they do, of course, want some humidity, but it's good for them to be able to dry off a little bit. And so a humidity spike in the morning and maybe the evening is good, but if they have a chance to dry just a little bit, that may help. So, oh, like a thumbnail dart frog terrarium, then definitely go with, you could do either the Porcelioscaber Dalmatians or the dwarf whites in a dart frog vivarium. People have kept those species with dart frogs for generations of dart frogs. They've been doing it at least since the 90s, and it works, so you could go with either one. So theropod hunter, local moths from Madagascar and Costa Rica. Wow. And thank you, Marcine, for joining in. See you next time. And really, J-Man, it's awesome. So appreciated. That is very cool. I'm looking at the clock. It is just about time. I have about 5 minutes. I'd love to stay and chat with you if you want to stay and chat with me. I've got a little bit more time, so just had to check. So, yep, just a couple more minutes is fine. I was thinking that I had to end earlier, but I don't, because I have to end by 2, but I started a little early, so I'm good. So I can stay for a minute. I'm trying to think, some things I want to show you that are going on soon. My daughters both made backgrounds for me for Christmas for some beetle enclosures. You know how I've got the blue death fainting beetle breeding enclosure. I just pulled a bunch of larvae out of that and put it in the incubator, by the way. Put them in the incubator. So sometime in mid-February or so, maybe March, we can look forward to maybe some new baby death fainting beetles, I hope. And the one daughter made a background for that, like a desert background, which is very cool. And the other daughter made one for my velvet ant and beetle community vivarium. So that was really fun, and I put those in. I want to show you those at some point. They help add to the ambiance. Before behind the velvet ants, I just had wall, and it wasn't very exciting. So hopefully I'll be able to show you that soon. And okay, can I get Quilly to talk or sing? He's already adorable, but I want to see him be at peak cuteness. Let me see. Hey, Twilly. It's kind of hard to get him to talk. I mean, he's making noises when I talk to him, but you're probably too quiet for you to hear them. But he can be a lot louder than that. Let's see if I can get him to chirp along with the claps. Can I? Oh, did you see that? He saw me starting to clap. Good job. Good job. That one plant guy, have you ever kept triops? Yes, I have. Kept and bred triops for generations and generations. Love those things. They're a lot of fun. I've only kept triops longicaudatus. I'd like to keep some of the other species available out there. I need to do that. I have kept quite a few other vernal pool organisms, fairy shrimp, clam shrimp, seed shrimp, Daphnia of various sorts, that sort of thing. Good source for rhino beetles. I know that in the US, Bugs in Cyberspace sometimes carries dynasties beetles. Yes, so maybe next live stream we can do some velvet ants. It'd be fun. And Thank you, Elaine, and I say the same. I wish everyone the best 2021. My next live stream will be in that year, amazingly enough, so think about that. Novsky, that's cool. That was the first video you watched on my channel. That is awesome. I don't know if everybody has heard that I did successfully produce an adult captive bred death feigning beetle from an egg. The parents laid eggs. The parents I owned laid the eggs, grew into a larva, pupated the larva, and I have an adult. Just one so far, but I've been, collecting larvae, and hopefully we'll have some more soon. So, very cool. And Newt, you're right. The microphone didn't really. The claps probably sounded really crummy on the mic, but Twilly liked it. He loves that. Yeah, getting triops to hatch can be tricky at first. Once you get the hang of it, it's easier. But the main thing is you have to make sure that it is distilled or RO water or something like that, and only put a small amount of the substrate in that water. Keep it kind of warm, and they'll usually hatch. Hey, Dark Reptiles, you made it back. Nice to see that. And I will look forward to your message on Instagram. You could do Facebook too, but Instagram is probably better. And I'm just at Aquarimax. I'm just Aquarimax Pets on Instagram, so that'll be cool. Oh, we need to do another Guess That Isopod. I need to maybe think of some isopods that people don't know as well for that one. So. And Brian Orr, I have kept ants. It's been a while, but yeah, Ants Canada is very cool. I like that video, and I like how they have a way that you can get local ants. And I've thought about doing it. My wife is not a huge fan of ants, but they're not prohibited. She hasn't prohibited them, so that's cool. And I kept ants for about 3 years, so that was really fun, actually. Collecting the ants. I collected some queens that had recently mated and put them together, and the 3 queens lived together for a while. Then one queen killed the other 2, which is kind of gross, but I guess that's a natural thing. And then they started producing larvae. And then the workers hatched from the larvae, and it all, it got going. Okay. Well, thank you, J-Man. Really appreciate it. And see you next year on the live stream. Happy New Year to everyone. It is now about time for me to go. So thank you so much, and see you all in 2021.